静しかしないイメージだらけの頼りない翼でもきっと飛べるぜ Oh my
Hello everyone and welcome to special episode 36 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watched Digimon Adventure Tri Chapter 6, Bokura no Mirai, which means our future. But first of all, we have quick news. So first of all, the podcast turned 3 on the 3rd. So that was the 3rd of May, which was, I think that was Thursday. And I made a quick post about how many episodes we've done and how we've been doing this for 3 years and how much we appreciate Jay, because we do appreciate Jay, because he's been sticking it out for watching this show. And, of course, the good parts, which are like Atmon. And we also have some Digi news. So it was revealed after Digimon Adventure Tri Chapter 6, or maybe after the screening, but apparently the Twitter account actually tweeted this before the movie actually opened. There's going to be a new Digimon project, and it's in progress now. How do you feel about that, Jay?
What does that mean?
Well, it had a picture of Agumon, and it was tweeted by the Digimon Adventure Twitter, and it said the adventure evolves. I'm pretty sure they used Boken, not adventure. So whether or not it's actually an adventure series isn't known yet, but yeah, that's the thing.
What's the wording? Maybe Demon, maybe Diaboromon?
Yeah, I hope there's no more Tri. I want to see more stories, like, from new characters. We don't need to see these characters anymore, I think.
Since seeing them again was good for 1 or 2 episodes. Maybe it was good for 3, and then we're like, oh wait, we didn't want this.
Like, I'd be happy if that Agumon turned out to be Agumon from Atmon. Before we get into it, this is completely a spoiler-full cast. We will be talking about Chapter 6 and the things we liked and our negatives and things that happened in Tri Chapter 6. So if you haven't watched it yet and you do not want to be spoiled, I suggest not listening to this until you have watched Chapter 6, or if you don't care, just listen to it, I guess. But, yeah, we will be talking about in full spoiler detail. Now we've started, we can talk about the moments in Chapter 6. Do you have any highlights?
I mean, sort of. But the whole thing was so disappointing, it's hard to call them highlights.
Well, we do have a negative section, so let's just talk about good things. We can't just have, like, a negative podcast like we did for Tri Chapter 5, which was just like, oh, what's the negative section? The entire podcast.
I guess there are okay bits to this. I was really disappointed by most of it. I don't know, I guess the only positive I can really drag up off the top of my head is I felt really weird that Agumon didn't take Tai's death very hard, and the way they eventually revealed, like, oh, he just doesn't think he died. Yeah,
he's just like this relentless optimist, like, oh, everything will be fine. I'm hungry. Like, well, we see him with crosses in his eyes, and we think, oh no, something bad's happening to Koromon because his partner may or may not be dead, or he might be really depressed. Oh no, he's just really hungry.
You know, I thought they had a really good opportunity here to, like, give you an emotional moment where, you know, Tai's just died, and it's obviously just dawning on Agumon, and you have, like, a moment where he's like, I'm not hungry, because that would have been different to his usual character, but instead, he's just hungry like he always is.
Like, nobody in general seems that emotional about Taichi being dead, right? Like, except for Hikari. Like, Hikari blames herself. Everyone else
Matt's
is
up there
taking
too.
it. Yeah, but he's like, oh, what would I have to, like, take charge because, you know, Taichi doesn't want us to be sad, and, like, what would Taichi do in this situation?
I like that bit where Sora goes, Matt, you can go back and save him, I know you want to, and immediately he goes, nah, that's fine, we'll just leave him.
What a Cinderella. I also like the part in that exact scene that happens about 5 seconds later, because Sora's crying and Pyramon sees her crying. It's like, oh, are you crying? Are you crying? Matt, did you make her cry? Did you sing her a bad love song?
That's pretty funny. It was a sappy love song. Didn't accuse it of being bad.
No, the subtitle said cheesy, but what she said was heta uta, and heta means bad.
I wouldn't know.
So I'm not sure what the rest she might have said cheesy somewhere else in the sentence, but she said heta uta, and heta means bad, uta song.
I feel like 3 or 4 times in this movie, people would pause, and you're, like, leaning forward thinking, oh, they're finally going to tell me something I've been waiting to know the entire time we've been watching this.
Nope.
And then they'll say something totally different.
Hey, do you remember Demiurge? I just want to ask.
No, I really don't.
Like, remember that whole, like, narration at the start of Chapter 1? Like,
It wasn't relevant.
Nah, I feel like it could have been missed.
Do you remember, like, when Sora goes, I need to get something off my chest, Matt? And he's like, yeah. And she pauses, and then goes, man, I really wish Ty were here.
Yeah, I thought we were going to even have something about their current relationship because
That's
we
exactly
know
what
that,
I thought it would be.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, I'm not a huge shipping person. I don't care. It's the same that happened
Patamon
at
is.
the end, at the very end. Like, Mako's on the phone, and we're like, oh, he's gonna like ask Mako out. No, he's just saying, oh, thanks, like for the memories, I guess.
I can appreciate, but it's a negative technically, but I can
Yeah.
appreciate that the reason that Mako doesn't show up in the aftermath of Zero Two's like prologue thing is because she moved away again.
See, I didn't even get that as like I didn't even think about that, but that's fine. Like, you're right, she doesn't show up in the epilogue because
Also,
she
she doesn't
moved
have a Digimon
away.
anymore.
Yeah, like her Digimon died. That's why Makomon's not there. So, yeah, but I guess we are getting a little bit into the negative territory and not into the highlights and good moments that we had.
Can we agree that the way this ended, and it ended very abruptly,
Flat.
made the entirety of Tri was one big filler episode?
Yes, it fell flat. Like, it felt like there should be... Like, it didn't feel like the end. Like, oh, there's still there's still one more episode, right? They can still have 20 minutes. Like, when I saw that, Jedi was going away, like, in the middle of the episode, like, the very middle of the episode.
There were 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's going to come back, and there's going to be one final fight. Maybe the Zero Two kids come out from hospital and join in. I don't know, something cool's going to happen. Oh no, we just have like 5 minutes of Taichi being on the phone, more or less in silence, and then we're going to have 5 minutes of the ending. That's the rest of the episode.
We literally never explained what was up with Genai.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope. And it feels... You know what this feels like? You know when... this is just any TV show, not necessarily anime, but when they want to end a show, but they still aren't really sure whether they're going to get renewed for another season, but they haven't been renewed yet, so they don't want to finish off on any certain cliffhanger, but they also want to leave it open so they could continue telling the story.
You mean okay, there are
Dexter?
two good examples. The opposite example is Legend of Korra, which ended after one season because they thought they only had one. Then they got renewed and they had to be like, damn it, we ended too conclusively. And they had to figure out how to open it again. And there was Reboot. I think it was Reboot, where they like ended on a big cliffhanger, hoping that it would tempt them to renew them, and then they didn't.
And I feel like that's what this is. Like, this feels like it was sort of conclusive, but at the same time, it, like, when Genai just sooner steps away, and we're still, why are we talking about negatives? This is meant to be favourites, god damn it!
Because there aren't many.
And this happened when we were talking about Chapter 5 as well. We were talking about our favourite moments, but we kept on talking about the negatives. I have many negatives to bring up.
Can we talk about how there was like a 3-minute recap at the beginning of every episode because they apparently had too much time to waste?
Yeah, that was really annoying. Admittedly, I skipped the recap at the start of the episode because I was just like, I have things to do today. I have to take my dog to the vet. I'm gonna just skip this 3 minutes here. Like, it's because it's stuff I've already seen anyway. If it was new information, sure, I'll watch it. But it was just recap, and I'm just like, I guess if we're assuming that this is like a weekly show and I'm not watching them back to back, sure. But I feel like they should have at least released it as a movie and then like had the option to watch it as episodes because it's a movie.
It definitely hurts the presentation.
Also, it made it a lot longer. You're right. Like, if you put all the recaps together, you'd make another episode.
You'd get about 15 minutes, and then with the opening song repeated 4 additional times, you're pretty much at a full episode.
Also, the interesting bit was the ending, because we got a better ending at the very end in the last the episode. That's what it's called. The other episodes, so 22 to 25, all had love words, I think the English name is, so ai kotoba. And that was the ending for Chapter 5, and that was at the end of all the episodes except for the last one, which I found interesting. The ending was good, though.
I don't even understand what you said.
That they basically, TLDR version, the first couple of episodes of Chapter 6 used the ending from Chapter 5.
Okay.
Because all the different, you know how all the different chapters of Tri have different
Oh,
endings?
you know what it is? It's that I, the moment it hit the credits, I skipped.
Oh, that's fair. Did you at least listen to the Chapter 6 ending, which was the...
No, I skipped through it to make sure there wasn't additional stuff at the end, and there wasn't.
That was actually one of my my highlights, because we are in the highlights section after all.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Doesn't sound like it.
Be positive. So it was really good. It was Butterfly, but it was sung by the children and their Digimon. Oh, I think it was just the children, maybe. I think maybe it was just the children, but it was really good. I know, I like those sort of medleys. It was very nice. And you just skipped it.
Yeah.
Okay, I liked it. So do you have any, like, just surprises that you had while watching this?
I was
Boredom is not a
surprised that the
surprise.
02 kids actually showed up, and then I was double reverse surprised when they showed up and then they were immediately tossed away as though they were never there.
Look, let's be real. This is exactly what I thought would happen with the 02 kids. They didn't even bother giving them designs.
I can't believe, and you know what is amazing is watching this makes me really feel like the reason these things take so long to come out is because they're running on like a shoestring budget. They have no money going. The entire section after Ty dies at the beginning, when the kids are walking around, that thing has like 8 frames of animation over the course of like 5 minutes. It feels like.
I feel like they put all their budget into Ordinamon's bum.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous.
Because, like, I think we need to talk about how well sculpted that is and how many butt shots we had of the monster.
I mean,
like, we had
Angemon's
bum
in there,
shots.
so Angewoman's in there. It makes sense.
Yeah, but even when Angewoman wasn't in there anymore, we still got that
How
dat
come it
booty.
didn't unfuse?
Oh, because basically Talmon wasn't really necessary. It was just sort of a battery, and Ordinamon was dying. But then Yggdrasil filled that space that Talmon had just left, basically.
That was nonsense.
Well, they did sort of explain that, but it was sort of like we still want to have the bad guy, but we also want Tailmon to fight the bad guy, so plot.
I guess.
Also, it was nice of Hikari's plot convenient sickness to come back.
Did it?
Yeah, she was sick from at the start. Like she
I
had a
assumed
fever.
that she was just upset.
I think it was more like it was because she was upset, but it reminded, like the symptoms reminded me of the sickness that she experienced in Adventure. Like lying down, clutching at the blankets with a fever, panting.
Could be.
Yeah.
Hard to argue.
So, my surprises were was, I guess, and this is like a reach, it was a surprise because of how, like, confused it made me, but Jedi referencing what's next to come, how he says, Dear Boromon, or Daemon. And it was like, is this ravings of a madman, or is there something coming after this?
So, here's the thing for me, right? And this is a surprise that was for me for a moment, but then didn't exist. Is when I went to, I think it was episode 3, because we're watching this on the same Crunchyroll account, right? And sometimes it will resume an episode from where it was last at. Apparently, it was last at 19 minutes into it or so. So, the first thing I see is Devimon. And it gets into my head that I've just spoiled myself on the idea that the reason Genai is acting like such a big weirdo, like he's literally acting like the Joker, which he didn't do in any of the other episodes. Like he was pretty rough, but he wasn't like this.
Oh, in Chapter 5 he was like this.
Okay, it's been many months. And the point
I
being
try to forget it too.
is that I thought to myself, oh, the reason he's acting like this, and to explain everything, is that Devimon is the final bad guy, and he's been dressing up as him and doing all this stuff. And that makes sense. It's a big callback to Adventure, because it's the first bad guy they ever fought, and it's him getting his revenge on them. All the plot makes sense now.
That would have been so good.
And then I finally got to the scene, and he just summons a Devimon. And that's all it is.
That's one of my negatives, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because I want to talk about when we actually get to the negative section. God damn it, we will get to that negative section eventually before we just talk about negatives. Do you have any, like, favourite parts or memorable parts? Like, parts that you just remember, like, really fondly from the movie?
You know what, the entire bit where Matt was hugging Gabumon in, like, episode 1 was fine, but then when he turns around, there's all of the Digimon pressing their faces up to the glass. That was strong.
I liked that. I have that under touching moments, because he's very loyal, and he's saying, look, if you have a baby, I'll look after it. When you're middle-aged, I'll go to the sauna. And when you're a grandpa, I'll take a walk with you. I like it. Also, Daigo's death was pretty sad, when we're talking about touching moments.
I guess. The problem for me is that felt hilariously contrived. In fact, the entire thing did. So that comes under a negative for me, because that entire scene is probably the dumbest thing I could possibly imagine. So, imagine you are a writer for Digimon, right? And you've just said, you know what we're going to do? Even if we're not going to kill Taichi, we're going to make everyone think he's dead, okay? So you bury him under, like, an earthquake. Alright, so what happens to him? What's your solution to that problem where he doesn't die? Well, there is a secret, presumably government base in the digital world underneath the ground. Because Daigo says, like, I was ordered not to tell you where the kids were, and it's implied they were abducted by the government agency under
Maki.
Hime whatever Maki, yeah.
Yeah.
Maki's orders, right? So that government base is somehow in the digital world. Would you agree?
Yes.
So it just so happened that he got thrown underground by Jessmon's attack, and they both landed inside the base, which means, presumably, that the big laser blast blew open the ceiling and they both fell inside. Would you agree?
Yep.
How come there were no rocks anywhere inside?
I'm sorry. I would have thought of that if I wasn't trying to work out why Taichi was completely unscathed and Daigo was more or less dying.
Now, yeah, there's an interesting question of, like, what hit him, but let's assume that, one of them got lucky falling down, the other one didn't.
Look, you know what could have been
But, like,
so
how
much
come-
easier? Like, no,
come there
Jedi
was no
sneaking
rubble
in and
at all?
stabbing him. Like, that could have been easily just like, oh, Taichi survived it because the only reason Daigo's bloody is because Jedi just came in like a madman and just stabbed him a couple of times.
But then they wouldn't have had to have that conversation, which was further contrived, of Genai being like, aha, only one of you can get out, which will it be? And
The
then
one
the
who's
entire
dying?
audience looks sideways and like, one of them was dying. And one of them's the main character.
Yeah, like, this was never, like, a suspenseful choice, and I feel like it was meant to be, like, this moment of, like, oh, one of them will die. I'm like, well, yeah, it's going to be the one who is new to the series and already dying. Like, yeah, that part, not so much, but I'm not saying his words were touching of what he said to Taichi, and then the fact that this inspires Taichi to actually progress and have dreams and take prep classes, and that's cool.
Kind of, like, look, I'm not enthused by it, but the entire situation of the bad guy shows up and says, haha, so, this facility, which is not my facility, it's the government facility. Well, you can just teleport all the people in those pods over there to the real world, anywhere in the real world, I guess, and maybe at random, who knows, and if you do, this whole place will blow up. Why? Why would it do that?
It's in the script?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole thing, it feels like the reason you have to have the bad guy show up and give this speech is because it would make no sense if it happened without... Because it implies the bad guy did this, but it's not his base. It's the government base. They should have full control over it.
Yeah. Also, I was just thinking about how Jedi was acting, and you're right, he is acting even more so than he was in Chapter 5, but I feel like he's been, like, more and more insane throughout the movies. Like, when he first showed up, he was fine, then in Chapter 3... Oh, no, in Chapter 3 was when he showed up, yeah, we were just Jedi, and then Chapter 4 he was kind of insane, then Chapter 5 he was really insane, and now he's just bonkers.
Yeah, and he keeps saying, like, aha, all according with my plan, and then he loses, and he's like, this is still somehow my plan.
This is, it was all according to Keikaku, even the time that didn't seem like it was according to Keikaku. I don't know, I have a lot of feelings.
I'm not shocked by that.
Another touching moment was, and I really liked this, the Digimon getting their memories back, and it's really cute and heartwarming, and I feel like they gradually got less so, because Taichi's and Yamato's and Joe's all had, like, silhouettes, and everyone else got screenshots, and Taichi had, like, not just from Tri, he had, like, images of Tai when he was in our war game, like, descending upon War Greymon, about to evolve him to a Megamon, and we had shots from the prequel movie, and it was just sort of these silhouettes, and all the other kids just got screenshots of just Tri.
Yes.
Like, you could see them losing their budget.
They've been losing it since the beginning of this part.
Yeah. Oh no, May moved out, so May's spending less money on the franchise. How are we going to string out May's money?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
What about funny moments? I already mentioned the Piyomon asking Yamato if he made Sora cry one. That was pretty funny.
When they have the TK and Kari bit, Padamon's like, I'm not looking, I promise.
That was so cute. I also have the scene where Tentomon's in the maid costume saying that he'll cook for Koromon, and everyone's like, hey, you sound like a housewife.
Yeah, do you want food, or do you want, or do you want to have a bath? And it's just, but the problem with that moment for me is, like, the leader of the team just died, and everyone's way too cool with it. Then obviously Kari has, like, a normal reaction, and Sora and Matt had their moment, but all of the Digimon are like, this is fine, things are normal.
I think it's because they've read the script, and they saw the poster.
Clearly.
And they saw the PVs.
Oh, Ty's there, don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, I was never ever worried that Taichi was actually dead, because he's on the poster, and he was also the main character, and also he's in the epilogue. Shrug. I also want to talk about cool moments before we get into it. Like, we finish the moments section. I actually wrote down quite a few cool moments. Like, there were a few cool things that happened.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You
Maybe.
definitely?
In the fight against Ordinamon, we have Togemon actually doing a lot of fighting. Like, we get a surprisingly large focus on Togemon and Bergemon fighting Ordinamon, which is great. And we have this scene where Bergemon keeps on, like, picking Togemon up and throwing Togemon at Ordinamon, and Togemon, like, starts, like, punching him and swirling around and doing the twirly. It's really good. I like the focus. I know, I was surprised by the screen time and I enjoyed it, and it was quite cool. I also enjoyed the entire atmosphere of the human world with Ordinamon sort of descending upon it, and that sort of the atmosphere and like everything about it, like just the scenery and the music was just very daunting, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, the super overpowered acid rain?
Yes, it was also D-Reaper, similar, and we had Genai Kaiser standing in a park that almost looks similar to the Gilmon Park a little bit. But I guess it's just a random park. It's just in Odaiba, but like whatever. It reminded me of it. It was very The scene where Taichi saves Agumon, who's trying to save Mako, and then Butterfly starting up, that was really cool.
You mean that bit where he very conveniently showed up just the right time, but didn't bring the 02 kids with him?
Yeah, can we not think about that? And also,
can we always think about that?
The 02 kids was sent to hospital. He was just on a beach.
But he would have showed up at the same place as them.
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Genai moved him. I don't know.
What? Why?
I like
Genai's
the scene.
the bad guy.
Cool. It was a very cool scene if you don't think about it.
But I do think about it. We've established this.
Okay. That's a good point, I guess. I also really like the scene where Tailmon is evolving to Holydramon, and she's doing this to the new version of Butterfly. I thought that was pretty cool. Did you like that?
No.
Really?
I don't like Holydramon very much. We've established this.
Yeah, but it's still a good scene, and I'm glad that we got her to become Ophanimon as well as Holydramon, because no matter what you feel, like, we got both evolutions anyway.
Sort of. I got to see you being upset about it that one time.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And then I realised it was fall down mode, not actually Ophanimon. I know, I like that. I like she has a dark evolution similar to Taichi, which is great, because they both... I like dark evolutions and corruption of Digidestined. Now we'll talk about the characters in this movie. Who are your favourites, Jay?
None of them. I didn't enjoy anybody in particular.
Yeah, I got that too. There weren't any straight up like character moments like we've had in previous movies. Like we always have like, oh yeah, this character was really strong in this part. I like the interaction between so and so and so and so. I liked when this character did this. In this one, just like I like Taichi.
Was Gabumon the best? Probably.
Gabumon was the best, yeah. Like Gabumon is a really good Digimon. Like, and he's really supportive for his partner. And he's just saying, look, I want to grow old with you. I want to, well, not grow old with you because you can't grow old. But I want to experience you becoming old, and I want to always be there, and I'll look after you, and I'll be with you always. And that was really heartwarming. Like, that's nice. But as for other character moments, I don't know. It wasn't very a character-heavy chapter, was it?
Not really.
Oh,
there was a lot of fighting in it, which went nowhere.
I guess Patamon was good when he was like, "Oh, I'll give you 2 privacy. I won't look."
Yeah, that was all of 3 seconds.
Yeah, that was 3 seconds, and that was fine. Mimi was looking pretty determined and ready to brawl at any moment throughout the movie, but that's it. That's all the time. She's great. Oh, I remembered another character moment that I liked. When the real world is in the sky, when they're in the digital world, we have Tentomon saying, "Hey guys, we can travel between the worlds now!" And Goemon's like, "Yeah, we can!" And Joe's like, "Yeah, but the worlds are gonna just be destroyed."
But we can still do stuff.
I loved how Tentomon's just like, "This is good. I'm happy with this. This is a good thing." Like, oh, Tentomon.
They're all very simple, huh?
Yeah, I love Tentomon so much. Like, he's so smart but so dumb at the same time. He's just there saying, "Ah," and everything worked out for the best, and like the entire world's on fire. At least we're not cold now. I don't know, that was pretty great. Do you have any negative character moments? Like, characters you didn't like?
Not really. I mean, even Matt was just fine.
He was fine because of Gabumon, let's be real.
On one hand, I guess the one that sticks out to me, because it was just weird, is he's looking up at the big portal in the sky, and he looks at the goggles, and you see him hesitate because he's thinking, if I put these on, that'll mean that Ty's really gone, and that I will have taken on the title as the leader. Which Gabumon seems to think I'm the only one who can do that, even though obviously Izzy has always been the leader.
Yeah.
And so he puts them on, and where the big hole in the sky is, he sees a big hole in the sky, because it turns out the goggles aren't necessary when you can already see it with your eyes.
Yeah, okay, I get what you mean. I kind of liked it, though, because we haven't really seen the goggles do that, and I kind of forgot that they could do that. I forgot that they weren't just the goggles.
But it didn't matter. Of all the things to bring back the things that do matter, not the ones that don't.
Yeah, like Alphamon.
Like when they called Meikumon Libra. You're like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
They called her Libra a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember that. Sort of.
Yeah.
The only reason they call her Libra is because they don't want you to know they're referring to Meikumon the first couple times they talk about it. And now it's a weird code name, even though it's not necessary.
I mean, at least Yggdrasil's not a giant metal ball, right?
Yeah, it just didn't show up at all.
Oh, I guess Yggdrasil is just, like, evil homeostasis.
It's just a being.
Yggdrasil's just kind of there, I guess. And Hackmon was kind of cool, like Hackmon. Big fan of Hackmon.
Doing not all that much.
He came to give exposition because Janai was in a tube.
Was, like, I guess the idea of a reset of the human world is interesting, especially in that, like, they obviously foreshadowed it with the reset of the digital world. It doesn't make sense, because the real world is not digital, so you can't reboot it.
It was a rebooting of all electronic things, and that's why Koshiro was just like, hey, can we not? And all the other kids were like, that sounds like fine, that's fine. And Koshiro's like, but all of science and technology will be reset back to the beginning.
It probably won't, though.
Yeah, like, everyone will be the same, except for all the technology will just be gone, basically. I think that's what he was getting at. Like, the technology just won't work anymore.
But it will, you're rebooting it. That's turning it off and then on again, not just turning it off.
Yeah, I think they're just resetting it more like. It's not straight up rebooting it. But,
I think the problem is that they're never clear on what the effects of these things will be, and like what it actually means.
Yeah, that's so just a threat.
So that when they go, oh no, the reboot, you as the audience have to fill in your mind, oh, that sounds like a bad thing, so it's probably a bad thing. Yeah,
but if you think about it, it's just like, well, the kids will still be okay.
Everyone will still be okay, and even science and technology, well, the scientists are still alive who understand it, and B, like, there are still books, and there's a lot of paper writing on it, and also, like, I don't think that's how hard drives work. If you turn a hard drive off and then turn it back on, all the data is still there.
It can just be, like, brought back again. Like, let's say all the computers are just, like, they don't work like they used to anymore, or they're just gone. Like, they just evaporate from existence. Yeah, there's still the knowledge of how to build a computer or how to build a whatever. So it's just.
Society's kind of damaged by that, but it's not the end of the world like they're treating it.
No, it is a fixable thing. Like it can be repaired. Like I guess how they repaired the Digimon.
I kind of assumed that's what a reboot of the digital world was.
So do you have any other character moments, favorite bits involving characters, or favorite characters or least favorite characters that you want to say?
I really don't. I just didn't care. I think the show is very damaged by coming out six months at a time. Like, it's not seasons of a show. They're one episode at a time, and they waste all this time within them, which makes it feel like, why did this have to be 5 episodes long? It could have been 4 episodes long and been a lot tighter.
Yeah, like I felt like some bits that could have been removed or shortened. And I think I've said this many times, but I think Chapter 5 could have just done with the last part, like the last episode. So Chapter 5 would have just been 20 minutes, which you could easily like put into Chapter 6 and cut out some things in Chapter 6.
And then you would have saved money, and then be able to spend it on the animation.
Yeah, and then you could actually have something that looks a little bit better. It was still like, it still looked fine. Like the animation was fine, the art was fine.
I mean, they did waste a bunch of time with evolutions still.
Yeah, they had a lot of they had so many evolutions in Chapter 6. The last character moment is that I think Mako was fine in this. A lot of people saying, hey, I'm intrigued to hear about what May thinks about Mako. I'm like, she's fine in this. This is...
Well, they took the attention back to normal with her.
Yeah, which is fine.
Not to, we all love you, you're the center of the universe.
Because, like, I'm fine with her being special because whatever, that's fine. I'm fine with her Digivice and her Digimon being the key. That's fine. This is a good amount of focus. This is how you put focus on a character. You do not make an entire movie about telling everyone why she's special.
So,
Like,
why was her Digivice black?
because of Meikumon being corrupted and infected and had too many memories inside her or something.
But
Also
that wasn't the case back when it was not back when it first showed up.
No, it evolved. It changed in chapter 2 when Meikumon evolved to
Wait.
the evil one.
No, I thought it was black all the time.
No, because I remember when she shows up in the first episode.
I don't.
Of Tri.
That was literally 3 years ago.
You're right. It was at the end of 2015. Gosh. So when she shows up, no, we watched the dub though at least.
Yeah, well, I didn't really pay attention.
Okay, she holds up a Digivice and she goes, "I'm a chosen child." This was in Reunion, and it's just a regular looking Digivice. And then when we see that Meikumon evolves to Meikrakumon in chapter 2, it becomes black. Also,
No one sheds a tear about Leomon anymore.
Yeah, no one ever mentions Leomon. Like, hey, the digital world got rebooted. I wonder if all our friends who died are back. No? Who cares? No. I don't know. You're right.
Literally, also, are the Dark Masters around again?
Nope. Who cares? Apparently we're not talking about that, according to Genai. Like, Genai just brought them back. Are we not talking about them? Okay. Just 2 of them randomly showed up? No? Okay.
Hey, what happened to Maki?
Yeah, that's one of my negatives, but we'll get to that. One more last thing I want to say about characters is that, we were given quite a nice design of Meikumon's true final evolution that's not Ordinaemon, and it's like I think it's called Regulmon, and it's like this sort of like cat angel, and she's really cool. I'm surprised that she didn't show up at all.
What, to be exactly like Hurricane Touchdown?
Yes, I was going to say that, exactly like, and thank you, Meiko, I'm now purified, but also I must die.
Yeah, it's not a reference you want to bring back.
Alright, we have negatives now, so Jay's happy because...
So the show has begun, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so... I know, I didn't want this to be like our review of Chapter 5, which is just like, okay, we'll get to negatives, but also I have these negatives now. So yeah, Jay, you can start off your negatives, because I bet you have a lot.
Look, it's primarily the issue of... The whole show raises lots of questions, and then if it either answers them, and it answers them really badly, or it doesn't answer them and just expects that you don't care. So obviously, yeah, what's up with Demiurge? Who knows? For me, though, I primarily think about the ending, right? So you have this moment where Genai, who is never explained, it is never explained why he's like this. He's holding a small black cube, which, do you know what that is?
I would assume that that's Demiurge. Maybe, I don't know.
Why would you have any evidence for that assumption?
We were shown the black cube when the narrator was like, hey, Demiurge, though? I think it might be, maybe Meikumon's Digi-Egg. I don't know.
Those are
shrug.
wild assumptions.
No, they're shrugs. They're not assumptions if I'm just shrugging and saying, I don't know.
Fair enough.
They're reaches. That's what they're called. They're called reaches.
Okay, there's some serious reaches there. So that's never explained. We see this Genai character and he says, you know what, maybe I'll come back with Demon or Diaboromon because, I remember those things and you
Please
as the
do.
audience remember those. And he
Please
leaps
come
into a
back.
portal. And so the implication is, this is Tri number 1 and we'll wait for Digimon Quad. And the thing that kills me is I think it's TK is giving the rundown of what happened afterwards. Oh, the 02 kids are fine, they went to hospital and they're good now. We'll never see them, but don't worry about it, they're fine. Which means that Tri is bookended by the 02 kids are not fine and now they're fine. And which leads me back to my filler analogy, which is my favorite one in the world, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then he cuts to the digital world and he says, oh yeah, and then homeostasis did a shutdown on Yggdrasil. And that's the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
What that means that the entire Genai bit you just saw was pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Which tells me that this team did not have a plan for how this was going to end.
The first 3 chapters seemed like they did have a plan, though.
Yeah, no, they had an idea, and then they were either told, it's too ambitious, or you can't do that, and then they had to make a totally different story. Because obviously they planned for there to be more of this or something, and then right at the end they'd be like, oh, but by the way, Yggdrasil got defeated off-screen, pretty much. Which begs the question, why couldn't homeostasis have always done that, if it didn't require the kids to do it?
Yeah, I felt like the whole homeostasis thing was just Hackmon just hey, here's some exposition, and then homeostasis not doing anything. I'm sort of surprised we didn't see homeostasis possess anyone.
No, not at all. It literally just Hackmon showed up and said, no, this is, I'm an agent of homeostasis. This is what they definitely want.
But more or less, what your point that you just made about how we have the ending being like Jedi saying, "Hey, this might come back. What about this?" And then Takaru saying, "And everything's fine." That's why I have that sort of feeling that they're just sort of saying maybe sequel, but they're not wanting to like end it like, oh, definitely sequel, or oh, definitely no more. So they're sort of having their cake and eating it too, or
But
trying
why would they
to.
have him specifically say, "Oh, but by the way, homeostasis totally beat Yggdrasil"? Like it says homeostasis shut down Yggdrasil in the digital world.
We still don't actually know about the entity of that whatever the bad Jedi. We don't know where he came from. We know he's not Jedi because Jedi is the one in the tube. This is
Wait, what?
Yeah, you know how there were 6 tubes?
I guess it didn't occur to me that that's what that one with the spiky hair is.
Okay, I want to point out my thought process for this. Okay, this is very important.
Yeah.
So this was me trying to work out who the 5th one in the 02 Kids tubes were because I noticed him. I was like, Willis, Rio,
No,
Junpei?
I saw the hairstyle. I was like, "What's up with that?"
Yeah, I thought it was
can't match
Junpei.
that to anybody.
It looks like Junpei from Frontier.
I
And then when we had like the look around, we saw they had the rat tail. I'm like, oh, it's just Jedi. Never mind, that's boring.
Well, actually, that's at least explains one thing. This isn't like an evil Genai, which actually thus means this has nothing to do with the little black ball from Adventure that Piedmon puts in his back.
Yep.
So
Well,
even one of the possibly interesting things was taken away by that.
well, we also know that there are like many Jedi. There are like 10 Jedi. There are 10i.
There's more than 10.
Well,
Also,
we saw a lot.
it occurs to me, what happened to the other Digidestined all around the world to their Digimon when the reboot happened?
I don't know, but we at least shown that they have Digivices still. We got to see them.
Yeah.
Also,
How come none of them came to help?
Well, I'm actually a bit disappointed by what they did.
Nothing?
They showed our wargame people who are watching, and I don't think that one that everyone has been saying is Rio. I don't think he's Rio. Because we see him, and he's not Rio.
Oh, Reno.
Because he has a Digivice, and he's holding it, and it's definitely the one... Like, it seemed to be the child in our wargame that everyone has always said, oh, that's just Rio. But has it ever been actually, like, 100% stated that that kid is Rio?
I doubt it.
Because I was just thinking then, like, oh no, that's... Like, did you see the kid that I'm talking about?
I saw those kids, and I was like, are those the kids from the Digimon World Tour?
I guess that's possible too, but the kids,
No, I just because I didn't recognize them. I'm sure you recognize them better as the Wargames kids.
Oh no,
I didn't pay attention.
Well, I think about our wargame like on a daily basis.
I'm aware of that.
I was under the impression that they're the our wargame ones because one is Rio, like the Rio lookalike. So
sure, man.
I'm now confused about the existence of Rio and who that child was. But anyway, do you have any more negatives?
I'm sure I have tons. I don't like. It's mostly just disappointment that the story went nowhere, and the conclusion was we killed Meiku. Like the conclusion is, all right, the new Digimon is dead. The new human goes back home, and everyone goes back to normal, having learned essentially nothing. And the bad guy problem was solved as well, and the whole town was rebuilt. And the humans are just as wary of Digimon now as they were at the start of the season.
Hopefully a little bit more. Because they did not know what Digimon were again. They were just like, oh, they're Digimon.
No, they'd forgotten,
what are you doing
but they knew.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Pretending Digimon don't exist? Alright.
Like, I always go back to the idea of, like, what does a Bleach filler arc look like? And it's the one kid who's, like, new and has weird different powers is taken out and then returned at the end of the season. Just slightly stronger so he matches everyone else who has powered up over the time. You introduce a new concept that will never ever be mentioned again. And, like... You introduce the problem, solve the problem, and never talk about it ever again. And then, at the end of the season, everything's back to where it was, more or less. And that is exactly what has happened over the course of Tri. With that weird kid being all the 02 kids. They got taken out, and they got returned, and now they're back to normal. But they had no involvement whatsoever.
Which, I don't know, it's just that part's disappointing. Like, it was just sort of like, oh, it's back to the way it was, of course, because it's filler. Like, it just felt like filler between the epilogue and the end of 02. And I guess that's what people wanted, I guess. Any more negatives?
It's too macro. I don't really know.
Okay, I'll go on to mine then.
Okay.
So my first negative was one that, at the very start, I thought it was going to be a positive. So Hikari's breaking down, and she's saying, it's my fault, it's all my fault, and Mako runs over. And that's how that scene goes. And I was like, oh, this is going to be really good. Mako's going to, like, actually step up as a character. She's going to calm down Hikari. She's going to say, no, it's okay. It happened to me as well. We'll find a solution. We'll actually see some make her being strong and not like anxious and quiet. Nope, she runs over, says Hikari, doesn't say anything else. And she just stood there, and she doesn't even catch Hikari when she falls. And then after Hikari passes out, Mako starts like saying, oh no, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. And then Mimi and Sora have to comfort her.
If only they'd caught her.
I don't know, it just, it felt like it could have been a really good scene. And the fact that it wasn't this good scene sort of became a negative. And yes, I'm nitpicking here, but I don't know, it just felt like it could have been a scene, right?
Sort of. I don't know, I really lost hope quite quickly for this entire thing, I think.
I also have, like, a couple of questions. First of all, we find out that Daigo was tasked with hiding the fact that the 02 kids are missing, right?
Yes.
He's telling this to Taichi.
Because, no, he lied to him.
No, I'm just saying that, like, I feel like, how come the kids never wondered where their friends were?
Yeah, they never bothered. And he's like, I got a big secret, alright? I've been keeping it from you. Because he knew they were there. You know, we've got to get these guys out of the way. That's what Maki told me to do. But Tai never cared. He never cared.
It could have been so good. Like, I don't know, we could have had characters wondering where the 02 kids were. But we didn't. It's just, that just seems weird to me, because considering we had Hikaru and Takeru, like, have Jogress partners in the 02 kids, and they saved the world with the 02 kids. Why were they not worrying? Like, it's like Daigo saying, okay, I was tasked to hide them, like, hide the existence that they were missing from you. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they would work it out that they were missing by them not being there. I don't know. It was weird. Another negative I have, and I can't remember if I mentioned this later on, I've mentioned a little bit about it. Takeru does not react to Devimon at all.
Because why would he? It's only a traumatic event from his childhood.
Like, remember when the idea of Devimon showed up in 02? Of, like, when Ken was getting all the parts to make Chimeramon? And Takeru had a breakdown and punched Ken in the face? Like... Vaguely? We didn't even get any reaction to Devimon at all. Like, when Devimon appeared, and there was this... It was a really dramatic moment, because Devimon's, like, coming out through the portal, and Genai is just, like, talking and narrating. And then we have Takeru, and he's just there. No reaction. Not like, oh, look, it's Devimon, or, oh, you killed my best friend once. I don't know. It felt really weird. And also, Devimon just, like, nothing happened with Devimon. He was there for 5 seconds, and just, I don't know.
He was there for the cheap pop.
It was a cheap pop. But because of that, it just went nowhere, and it felt bad. And I feel like a lot of my negative just things that felt bad, or felt that they just did it to say, hey, fans, remember when? Like, why? Also, I have some questions.
I'm listening.
Where did Alphamon go?
Nowhere, don't worry about it.
Like, I don't remember him dying in Chapter 5. I'm pretty sure he was on the poster for Chapter 1.
He's just not important.
He was we don't know where he's, like, who he was aligned with. We don't see him. He just sort of showed up sometimes as this big bad dude who just showed up to kill things.
Wasn't it aligned with the bad guy?
Yeah, I think it was aligned with Yggdrasil, but also wanted to kill Mekumon in Chapter 1. Because that's not what Yggdrasil wanted. Yggdrasil wanted, like, to release Mekumon's, like, angry power.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't, like... yeah, no, that's right. But Alphamon was fighting Jesmon, and Jesmon is with homeostasis. Alphamon, was trying to kill Mekumon in Chapter... Honestly, if Alphamon killed Mekumon in Chapter 1, that would be the end of the story, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Because that was what, like, you know, Mekumon needed to die, basically. Because it had all this power and darkness within it, and all this weirdness. And the distortion was within Mekumon. So Alphamon was not trying to capture, but trying to kill. And I felt like... I still have questions about Alphamon and Demiurge and that whole thing. My most important question, however, is who is Joe's girlfriend?
I don't know, and it will never be discussed ever again. I think that maybe she's not real.
I feel like it should be Bicycle Girl from Revenge of Diaboromon.
I mean, right? She is a girl who he once saw, so if that's all it needs to be,
he stole her bike.
Romantic.
Yes. I don't know. I like them together, but I don't know, I feel like there could have been one more reference to that at least. I don't know. And then my main negative is that the ending felt just kind of flat. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, that's it? That's
Yeah,
done?
that's
There's
all.
not
That's
more?
all it is.
I actually went to Crunchyroll and said, I know we just got the ending song, but, like, I went to the episode list and, like, okay, we just got the ending song, but is there another chapter? Like, is there a part that I've missed and it is not coming up in the playlist? No. That's the end. It's flat. And overall, disappointing in that way. Alright, other thoughts. Do you have any other thoughts about Try Chapter 6?
I'm so glad it's over. Like, yeah, it was disappointing because it could have set up for a lot of good stuff, but it's done now, and I don't have to wait to be disappointed anymore, and that's a good feeling.
The thing is, it could have been so good, right?
Could have. I think the last 2 chapters really set it up to fail.
I feel like even Chapter 4 was, like, where it started to all go wrong, because Chapter 3 was so good.
Yeah, definitely. That was the turning point.
Yeah, like, Chapter 1 was like, okay, everything's kind of essential. I guess we just find out where they are. That's needed. It's necessary. That's just where they are. We are introduced to the plot points. That's fine. Chapter 2 was just like, oh, things are happening and we're getting, like, development from these characters that we've only had a little bit of development from. And it's actually growing on things we've seen before about the characters. This is interesting. Chapter 3 was just like, oh, we have emotions. Also, here's some things about characters we already know. About Takeru and Koshiro. Let's also develop that. That's good. Also, it's sad. And then Chapter 4 was just like, here's some original chosen for you. Here's your nostalgia. Here's something you've been wondering about. We're never going to talk about them again, though, but here you go. And then Chapter 5 was just like, hey, do you want to know why we like Mako? I'll tell you. I'll spend 2 hours telling you. Other thoughts I have is just like, oh, it's the return of Hikari's plot sickness. I had a chuckle at some point when Koshiro said, yes, because Hikari has a magical power in herself. I'm like, yeah, that's called plot convenience. Another point that I want to make about the 02 kids being in tubes is that I saw Ken's outline and thought that Miyako got a haircut. Because I completely forgot how Ken looked. Because I just have been seeing him as the Kaiser, effectively.
Yeah, you think it's the big hair.
I'm just like, oh, Miyako got a haircut like Hikari, her girlfriend. Cool. I honestly expected us to get a look of how they were designed. We did not. That's fine, I guess?
It's not.
I don't know.
And you know it's not.
In addition, I also noticed that the Kaiser's M on his glasses remind me of the M on Meikimon's head. Like
Maybe that's the only reason they brought him back.
Maybe. But you know what? It would have been nice for him to say. Ordinamon's bum is really well sculpted. We've addressed that. I just thought I want to bring it up again because, okay, is that where the budget went? I also noticed that all the Digimon that were shown, like when Ordinamon's just summoning Digimon and Genai's summoning Digimon, like left and right, they're all Digimon that were mainly shown in the Vamdemon arc. Oh no, I found that interesting.
With like Vilemon and such.
Yeah, and
that never occurred to me.
Tuskmon, Dark Tyrannomon, Dividramon, they're all Digimon that we've seen attacking Tokyo before. And my last other thought was, the password was totally DanDan, and I totally called it. It was great.
I'm glad you called it. That entire section made no sense. Since when has Izzy been able to hack Digimon?
Oh, I thought it was fine.
But how did he hack a Digimon, and why has he never done it before?
Never tried.
Who put that password there?
The script.
Why would it be coded that way? Why would his user interface be able to access a Digimon? Wouldn't it be running on a different operating system?
They're digital. I don't see any reason why it's not possible.
Well, a Mac and a Windows are different. They operate differently.
He was hacking the Digivice, not the Digimon itself. So I thought that was fine. Like, it had a link to the Digimon, and that's why he had access to it.
Does that mean that Meikumon is, connected to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I think the Digimon is just connected to the Digivice in general.
So it's like Bluetooth, then?
I guess, right? I don't know. It only doesn't make sense if you think about it.
Which I do.
God damn it, don't do that. Do you have any overall thoughts about Try?
I think it feels like a big filler episode, and that's all I can say about it. I can't believe it took so long to get to the point that it is filler, but it is.
How would you rank it?
As it Try altogether?
No, rank the chapters.
Oh god, I don't know. I want to say it's 7, 6, 8...
Wait, 7?
5, 4, 5, something like that.
Sorry, I meant rank them together, in a ranking.
I just did.
So...
I just did.
No, sorry. I meant from bottom to top. Chapter 5, Chapter 4.
If you just figure out what numbers I assign to them, you can work it out.
Yeah, but just an easy format. So my bottom one's Chapter 5. My second bottom is Chapter 4.
Yep.
Then Chapter 6.
Yeah.
For a while I had it above Chapter 1.
And then
which
2,
is
1, 3.
No, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, fair enough.
So 3 is my top. Second is the second chapter, and
that's the only thing we disagree on, and even then, not by very much.
Yeah, I really like Chapter 2, but I really like Mimi, and I really like Joe, and I I liked that. I thought they had some good episodes, good parts in them. I almost put Chapter 6 above Chapter 1, but then when I was rethinking over my notes, I was just like, actually, there is a lot that's left unexplained or left open, like Alphamon.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
So I was just like, okay, it's still better than Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, but it doesn't get top 3. Top 3 was 3, 2, 1. Chapter 3 was really good. What about your overall, like, any other thoughts? Like, was Tri worth it?
No, it was a big waste of time.
Yeah, like, as I mentioned to Jay before, I uploaded an episode before this that was just basically a question of, was Tri worth it? And my answer was, like, there were some moments that were good. The first 3 chapters were good. It is a very hard question. I still don't know the answer to it.
I really think it was a big waste of time. I think that you'd view the adventure characters more positively if this had never happened.
Yeah. No, because, like, I didn't have any questions about the adventure characters and what they were doing between 02 and the epilogue. I was pretty, like, I was fine with that. Like, I was
You
fine.
could draw the line well enough yourself.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, I mean, some of the things are just sort of like people always say, hey, why did Matt become an astronaut? I'm just like, well, 25 years changes a person.
This literally didn't explain why he became an astronaut. Yeah, he said, oh, maybe I'll look at space. But doesn't that do the opposite of what he was being told to do, which is, like, build the future? Going to space doesn't... I mean, you can argue that it builds the future, but physically being there is not nearly as impactful as being, like, the people on the ground developing it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know, it was a nice little reference, but before Tri came out, I did not have any questions of, like, how they got there. I was like, okay, 25 years, I can imagine things would change. It's still 22 years away from 2005. Like, it's still 9 years in the future from now. That's a lot of time. I don't think people understand that, like, okay, remember, these kids are, like, 14 and 15 and 02. Can we not, like, say, hey, they can't know. How do they not know what they want to be? Like, you change and you grow. I'm just weird. I knew what I wanted to be when I was 5. That is very, very unusual. If you ask 17-year-olds what they want to do, they don't know. So it's fine to change occupations and career paths. That is fine. What were your overall favourite bits from all of Tri? Like, you must have some favourite bits, like bits you remember.
I don't remember anymore. Can you just go back to the old episodes and splice in bits where I said I liked stuff?
Yeah. Well, I actually, leading up to Tri, I posted daily blog posts, starting from Chapter 1 and going to Chapter 5. And I posted one thing I liked from each movie. So Chapter 1 was the reunion scene at the airport. Chapter 2 was the bridge scene when Mimi and Joe are both, like, having frustrations about their own characters, and Hikari's just watching and being hopeless, and she's like, she doesn't know what to do because she's just seeing her friends in anguish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really heartbreaking scene. And then in Chapter 3, it's Hercules Kabuterimon, like, being the only non-infected one carrying his friends into the cube. That was solid for me. And also, runner-up was Patamon biting TK.
If you insist, that was... I mean, I guess it was good, yeah. That was presented well.
And Chapter 4, my one was the Chosen Children bit at the start of Chapter 4. That was really good, I think. But because I grew up with Digimon, and I grew up asking that question, like, what about the original Chosen? It, like, sort of gave me emotions because of that.
Yeah, but then the rest of it was pretty much of a letdown.
Chapter 5... This one was hard and kind of like, but a cool moment was actually Hikari standing up to Homeostasis and telling Homeostasis to get out of her. Like, I liked that because Hikari had previously been shown as weak and, you know, doesn't want to stand up to things, kind of has that unhealthy attachment to her brother, but is kind of like a weak child. And she actually stands up to this entity that's possessing her, and I think that was pretty cool.
Well, she had to grow up sometime.
Yeah, but yeah, those are my favourite bits. Like, there are other bits that are good. I don't know what my favourite bit from Chapter 6 was. There are a couple of good bits, but I'm not sure if anything, like, stands out at the moment. Maybe in a couple of months I'll have a bit that I still remember and hold fondly, but at the moment...
It's Gabumon saying, stop crying, and then Matt saying, you're making me cry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like Gabumon. The Gabumon scene, that was good. But, I don't know, at the moment just kind of like... Togemon was cool. Do you have any other overall thoughts from Tri?
No, you keep asking me this, and I don't have anything for you.
Okay, well, I think we're done with our discussion on Tri.
I'm so happy it's over.
Until Tri Chapter 7, we have nothing more to talk about Tri-related.
I'm glad because there won't be a Tri Chapter 7.
Unless it's Diaboromon Strikes Back again.
Diaboromon's Revenge.
No, that was what it was called.
Damn it!
I think there were two titles, and one was Diaboromon's Revenge, one was Counterattack of Diaboromon.
Also, Strikes Back is still technically available.
Yeah, it was
I'm trying
Revenge
to think
of
of Star Wars titles for it.
or Diaboromon Strikes Back. And, I don't know, there was a few names, I think. Anyway, yeah. So no more final thoughts of Tri? Like, what was your overall rating of the movie, like, the entire movie as a series?
It's a 5. It is just a boring, middling 5.
I'll give it a 6, because just for the first 3 chapters, it could have been better.
It definitely could have been better. It set itself up to be much better, and then it completely let us down.
I think my rating was just like, it's okay. It was okay. It was a thing. It happened. It wasn't terrible. It was disappointing.
That's what I said. It's middle 5.
Yeah.
But it's a middle 5 is so much worse than either a hard 10 or a hard 0. A hard 0 is entertaining because it's so bad, and a 10 is entertaining because it's by definition entertaining. A 5 is forgettable. And in 2 weeks, I'm not going to remember any of this.
No, that's sad. Okay, I think we're done then.
Thank God.
So thanks for listening to our thoughts about Tri. There were many thoughts. I tried to keep them more or less positive. I'm going to be talking about more of Tri Chapter 6 tomorrow morning on the With the World podcast. So I'm sure I would have remembered something that I haven't mentioned in this episode. I hope I'm a little more positive about it, but it's really hard to be when just like, oh, Jay's pointing out all the glaring issues, and I already had some glaring issues myself. Oh gosh, there are going to be more. But yes, so overall, it's fine. So happy boop boop to Anthony Zed for May 1st. I mentioned this on the brief Tri special that I did a couple of hours ago, but I thought I'd mention it in our main episode as well, so hippity boop boop.
To translate, that means happy birthday.
Happy birthday, bird. You can find link dumps linked in the description. And our Redbubble is also linked in the description, and you can get more than just shirts there too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. And you can follow us on LostinTranslationmon on Twitter, which is @TranslationMon, and you can follow us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will, and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, and we would appreciate if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use, because ratings really assist people finding out about the podcast. And we have a website where you can vote in polls, check out our release schedule, and check out our blog posts.
And you can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, from as little as $1 a month, which gets you access to our listener Slack chat group, but there are higher levels with more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more. And thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who has a Digimon podcast and Pokemon podcast with Stevie called the Moncast, Stevie, who is Stevie Padmon on Tumblr and is currently taking commissions, Metal Man Mon, Joe, Anime Guy, who is Anime Guy Kurosaki and the #1 on YouTube, Chuckmon, Hiro Lado, who's @Hiro Lado on Twitter, Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who's Frost Magic on Archive Our Own, and Inky.com/Ryden Allen, Stephen Reeves, who's Wildwing64 on Archive Our Own, Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, Deledy Bugman, whose anime blog you can read at bagubaragu.wordpress.com, Glitchgoat, Azra McCool, Gene Hackmon, who hosts New World Sonata, which is a sci-fi and fantasy audio drama podcast, Matthew, Anthony, who is at AntoClassic on Twitter, Lizmet, who is a Lekmon on Tumblr, Sithobi, Sporky McForkinspoon, who has a Digimon podcast called Going Digital, Megan, Kyliak, Neoboo, The Time Optimist, Silverhead Freak 25, who's at SHF25 tweets on Twitter, Harvey, Nicholas, Anthony V, and Harrison.
You can also make one-off donation on our PayPal, which you found in the description. It's paypal.me/Ergemon. Make sure to let us know the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye-bye!